Coming up on News 2, post-inauguration events continue, this time on St. John for Governor Kenneth Mapp and Osbert, Lieutenant Governor. Also, VI Elections Board members meet on St. Croix, more on the agenda. Meanwhile, St. Thomas Board will meet on Thursday. Plus, details on an agreement that aims to resolve a long-standing dispute over the responsibility for financing the cost of Customs and Border Patrol activities in the VI. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Post-inauguration events continue today, this time on St. John for Governor Kenneth Mapp and Osbert, Lieutenant Governor. An ecumenical service was held at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, Catholic Church in Cruz Bay. Then at noon, the post-inaugural program at the Frank Powell Park was held in Cruz Bay. Now, later on, dignitaries gathered for a luncheon at the Waterfront Bistro in Cruz Bay. Then many were in attendance for the public reception at the Battery Government House. The inaugural ball is just beginning and continues until 11 p.m. tonight at the Western Resort in Great Cruz Bay. Now, many St. Johnians were able to attend events thanks to Governor Kenneth Mapp, who issued a proclamation in one of his first official acts authorizing administrative leave for non-essential government employees on St. John. Leave was also granted to non-essential employees who are residents of St. John, assigned and working on the island of St. Thomas. The leave did not apply to essential employees and employees on a regular or rotating shift. Many businesses were closed for the day, including WAPA. The Julius Sprouse School on St. John remained closed for the activities. However, school buses were in session for St. Thomas St. Croix students as they returned to their classrooms after Christmas break. Some private schools ended the break earlier as they were in session from Monday, January 5th. The post-inaugural activities, of course, wrapped up on St. Croix Tuesday after the ceremony and a parade in Frederickstead. There was a luncheon for the dignitaries, followed by an open house reception at Government House. Afterwards, guests danced the night away at 3 separate inaugural balls at the DV Carina Bay, Buccaneer Hotel, and St. George Botanical Gardens. And we'll have more from St. John's event on Thursday's newscast. Meanwhile, shortly after she congratulated Governor Kenneth Mapp and Lieutenant Governor Osbert during their inauguration on Monday, Congresswoman Plaskett flew straight to Washington and was officially sworn in as a member of the 114th Congress at noon on Tuesday. Plaskett was accompanied by family members as she laid her hand on a Bible and swore the oath to hold office. The swearing-in ceremony was presided over by newly re-elected House Speaker John Boehner. Plaskett was among hundreds of newly elected and re-elected members of Congress to be sworn in on that day. The new St. Croix Board of Elections met for the first time on Wednesday for the year. Newly elected board members were sworn in on Monday morning at the Superior Court, but there weren't enough members present at Wednesday's meeting to handle the first order of business. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
Sandy, today the new board was supposed to organize itself. This is the day where they would decide who is the new chair and elect new officers, but only 3 board members showed up, and that wasn't enough to make a quorum.
It's a meeting by law. The law clearly states under Title 18 that the first meeting of the Board of Election, they shall elect chairpersons or vice chair and other officers.
Existing chairman Adelbert Bryan was present along with board member Roland Molinar. New member Barbara Jackson McIntosh also made her first appearance. But absent were Lisa Harris Moorhead, who is off island, and Liliana Bellardo de O'Neill. Glenn Webster has been excused for medical reasons, and Rupert Ross resigned last month, effective January 5th, during a press conference where he said he could no longer work on a dysfunctional board. Chairman Bryan's response:
We keep a big confession on his press conference to blame Board Bryan for what happened on the board being dysfunctional. So, Mr. Ross, if you had no intention of being on the board, you had no business filing a fraudulent application. Because I know, and members here know, and you know, that the petition that you submitted to be in office on its ballot was Nancy Paulino's position application that you changed her name and scratch out her name and put on your name.
Title 18 of the VI Code says the board has to certify the candidate with the next highest votes from the previous election within 30 days, and they must be of the same political party to fill the vacancy. That person is Raymond Williams. Whether he accepts or not will be put on hold until the special meeting called for January 16th, when a quorum should be present. Board members got the admin assistant and election supervisor's reports, but there were questions about the recount certification, which never took place, and Supervisor Fox said she never received that report from the board members who conducted it. Erica Parsons, News 2.
The St. Thomas Board of Elections will meet on Thursday to organize its new board, while the Joint Board of Elections will do that at their first meeting on St. Thomas on the 23rd. Supervisor Carolyn Fox reminds candidates and political committees pursuant to Title 18 Virgin Islands Code, Section 905, that the December 30th campaign disclosure report is now due. She said the December 30th disclosure must be submitted to the Office of the Supervisor of Elections no later than January 19th, 2015. Failure to submit the campaign disclosure report by the deadline will result in candidates and political committees incurring fees. Candidates who are delinquent in submitting their reports are subject to having their names published in the local newspapers as delinquent candidates, elected officials. Well, turning our attention overseas, France has raised its security alert to its highest level in Paris as authorities search for terrorists who opened fire at a newspaper office and police responding to the scene. 12 people were killed in that attack. Alfonso Van Marsh has the latest from London.
French police are hunting for 3 gunmen who opened fire inside a newspaper office in Paris. Witnesses say the shooters stormed the editorial meeting of Charlie Hebdo, a weekly paper that caricatured the Prophet Muhammad. 4 cartoonists, including the chief editor, were killed. One survivor says the terrorists spoke fluent French and claimed to be al-Qaeda members. Home video shows the masked gunman appearing to execute a wounded police officer who responded to the attack. A short time later, police found the abandoned getaway vehicle. The paper has been targeted before. In 2011, it was firebombed after an issue featured the Prophet Muhammad on the cover. French President François Hollande called the shooting a shocking terrorist attack and said several other plots have been thwarted in recent weeks.
I've reached out to President Hollande.
In Washington, President Obama expressed condolences and pledged his support.
We will stand with the people of France through this very, very difficult time.
As night fell in Paris, a black armband was placed on the Republic statue, and thousands packed a square near the shootings to honor the victims and defend free speech. Alfonso Van Marsh, CBS News.
And keeping our eye on the economy, McDonald's has opened a restaurant in Australia called The Corner by McCafe that serves up some healthy food like fresh vegetables, eggplants, salads, and tofu. There are no fries or Big Mac on the menu. In other news, the Intel company will spend $300 million on engineering scholarships at historically African-American schools and increase the number of women, Black and Hispanic employees by 14%. Here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all up. The Dow 212, Nasdaq 57, S&P 23. Coming up on News 2 on Tuesday, we told you about the Belunga Hotel on St. Thomas that received the recognition as one of the world's top 10 beachfront hotel. Well, in case you missed it, Condé Nast readers placed St. John in the top 10. Tune in for more. As a result of action taken by the Federal Communications Commission that affects carriers nationwide, innovative telephone, innovative wireless, and innovative long-distance customers will notice a change in the Federal Universal Service Charge that has been effective since January 1st, 2015, from 16.10% to 16.80% for residential telephone customers and single-line business subscribers. The FUSC charge increased from $1.20 to $1.25. Multi-line telephone business subscribers increased from $1.69 to $1.76 per line. PBX lines rates are increasing from $2.23 to $2.33 per line. The Federal Universal Service Charge surcharge factor recovers the costs associated with the carrier's contributions to the Federal Universal Fund program. In addition to action on several bills, as well as the pardons and commuted sentences that he granted, former Governor John DeYoung also scored a victory in a dispute that has been going on for months and has affected the territory for decades. On Saturday, DeYoung announced that the territory would no longer have to burden all of the costs of customs and border services. News 2's April Knight has more.
The territory will be paying millions of dollars less for customs and border protection. This, according to a release by former Governor John DeYoung on Saturday. A long-standing dispute between the VI government and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection has been at the center of a debate over who's paying for which customs services that the federal government is doing in the territory. Per a 1994 agreement, the VI shouldered almost all of the costs by handing over to the federal government some 94% of the local customs duties it collects every year.
94% of the monies collected in the VI were being retained. So we were getting less, if at all. In fiscal year 12, we received no monies whatsoever with respect to what we collected.
Last year, it earned $12 million, and almost all of it went to customs. The problem was more than $6 million of that money was being used to fund not local but federal operations.
We were being charged for items that were clearly outside of the U.S. Virgin Islands, having to do with customs costs in other areas and agricultural costs. Also, we were paying for overhead costs at the Washington, D.C. headquarters.
The former governor went into negotiations with the federal government.
Outreach to the Congress and said, listen, please look at the CBP operations, look at your use of fees, look at the funds that are available, increase those allocations so that we can be able to rightfully so have more of the monies retained in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Now, with a new memorandum, the federal government will pay for customs pre-clearance, which will offset the Virgin Islands' share of the expenses. It also states the local government can request new services from customs, which can be later reimbursed. It will also track the costs of customs operations, so the territory is no longer overcharged. The agreement was reached a few days before the end of DeYoung's term and could mean millions added to the general fund under the new administration. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Former Governor John DeYoung thanked officials at Customs and Border Protection, both in Washington and in Puerto Rico, for their efforts in resolving the dispute. The new app will be the topic of a National Park lecture on Thursday evening. The new app we're talking about is the National Park Service sites on St. Croix with their new very own app. The app covers the National Park Service's sites on St. Croix, which includes Christian Said National Historic Site, Buck Island Reef National Monument, and Salt River Bay. Features of the interactive app include sites and points of interest, tours and trails, maps, regulations and directions, compass triggering, local weather, and a customizable electronic postcard. The app for smartphones and tablets is available for free download at iTunes and Google Play stores under the title NPS St. Croix. The lecture is from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Thursday. With over 1 million votes from nearly 77,000 readers, just in case you missed it, here are the Condé Nast Reader's Choice Top 30 Islands in the World for 2014. Number 8 on the list is St. John, and our neighbor, the BVI, ranked at number 24. For St. John, the caption reads, "This small isle in the Caribbean Sea hasn't been overrun by development, thanks to the fact that 2/3 of the landmass is national park land. It makes an ideal getaway for hikers seeking out jungle trails and snorkelers who'll nose down over the surrounding reefs." The top 10 on the list includes Hawaii, Australia. Number 5 is Basaruto, Mozambique. Number 4, Kauai, Hawaii. Number 3, Maui. Number 2, Kiawah Island, South Carolina. And number 1, Palawan, Philippines. Well, the Save the Coral Bay group will be getting a little help from a somewhat famous law firm. 2 attorneys from the nationally acclaimed environmental law firm of Seif, Paget, and Riesel will be providing pro bono legal assistance to the group during the Army Corps of Engineers review of the permit application for the new Summers and Marina in St. John. The firm is a recognized leader when it comes to environmental law, and organizers from the Save Coral Bay Group, they now have a powerhouse legal team to protect St. John from environmentally destructive development. The new additions will join 2 attorneys from Manco Gold, along with a St. Thomas attorney and St. Croix attorney. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.